Hi, I'm Erin with Homeschool Connections and Aquinas Writing Advantage. We're here today with Myron Manns. Myron, great to have you here.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of your background and where you come from and your experience and what you teach here with Aquinas Writing Advantage, and share some fun personal things as well so that people can get to know you and feel comfortable with you and who you are as a person, and just be able to sign up for your classes. So let's begin. Tell me a little bit about your background, where you come from, and what brings you here to Homeschool Connections as a teacher.
Yeah, so a little bit about my background. So I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. It's where I graduated high school. It's where I wound up going to Mock Community College and then to the University of Michigan Flint, where I focused on writing. So it was more composition and rhetoric. And immediately after my studies, I initially was employed actually for supplemental writing programs for middle school and high school students who were getting into health careers. So that was something that was financed to the university. And I really enjoyed teaching. It was a great experience with those students, and those were a lot of inner city students. And it just gave them really an advantage that would help them once they actually started writing essays to go into university and things like that. And immediately after that, I started working as a journalist. So I worked as a local journalist for one of the debut magazines called My City Magazine in Flint. It's still around, it's doing well. I also wrote freelance for Flint Journal, and then I started writing in communications. And that eventually brought me to Paris, France. This is where I am now, but that's a little bit about me.
Let's talk about that. So I love how you've just mentioned you have this wonderful educational background in writing and experience with students, but then you write professionally as well. And I
Yes.
want to hear, you live in Paris. You've been there for a while. Tell me what you do there and some of the activities in writing that you're involved with.
Yeah. And I can kind of maybe segue into how that brought me to Aquinas writing as well. So
Sure.
I've been here for 10 years now, and I came with the initial idea of writing policy. So I'm really interested in economic policy, and I got a chance to work for the OECD. So that's the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. It's actually something that was born out of the Marshall Plan. So it's an American institution, so to speak, in Europe, but a lot of Americans aren't really aware of it.
True.
But
This is true.
yeah, I can be a bit of a data nerd, even though I enjoy writing as well, and I can be very creative. And it was a wonderful experience, but after a while, I wanted to go back into the private sector. And so, because of my background in communications, that I initially started working freelance back in Michigan, I just started doing projects for French companies. And what they enjoyed was that I could come in and bring an American perspective and
Mm,
give them some English content that was particular to the type of work they were doing to sort of internationalize their products.
yes.
And it's been a wonderful experience. I honestly expected to go back to Michigan about 5 years ago now, and just because life happens, and
Right.
uh, I wound up uh, actually just kind of having more success with finding work here than I did back home. I guess because my
Sure.
resume is somewhat European now,
Right. Right.
it's slowly become my home. And last year I met my wife, and she's French, and so newlyweds, so to speak, as well. And it looks like I'm going in the long haul. And I'll mention something else about that later. But I mentioned that, what brought me to Aquinas writing was earlier this year, I was just in prayer. So practicing Catholic, I converted just about 6 or 7 months before I
Mm,
moved to France.
okay. Okay.
And that was a wonderful experience. I just kind of felt led to come into the Catholic Church after I initially visited France in 2014, and just seeing the history, the very rich history of the
Yeah.
church. It
Yes.
just sparked questions. I wound up converting. I came back from my studies. I've been here 10 years now, since 2015. And I was just in prayer earlier this year.
Mm.
And I felt that Our Lady in particular, because I was at a church that's called Our Lady of Labor or Our Lady of Work,
Mm.
and it's called Notre Dame de Travail. And I felt after the end of a novena that I had done that I needed to kind of go back to my first love, which is writing.
Mm. Yes.
And then I needed, honestly, to serve the church. And it was within days that I found Aquinas writing and applied. So it was pretty obvious for me, and I'm looking
Yes.
forward to the experience.
God's direction. This way.
Yes.
Well, we are so glad that you're here. I know that in particular, the students that you're going to work with are going to love your perspective, your skills, obviously, as a professional, as someone who's trained in this, who's been working with students. But that ability to, working internationally, the view that you have, the worldview, to be able to help students really hone their skills in a way that will be applying to their lives. That's what I'm excited about. So tell me about the courses that you teach.
Yeah, so I am teaching two middle school courses. They are 6 and 7, 7 and 8. And so I'm doing writing essentials and simplified writing. And I think what's so important about this, and as you just said, these are skills that the students can begin to really build upon. And as I mentioned, my experience earlier, helping them with things like writing essays that will get them into university. But these are skills that are going to be foundational that they're going to
Yes.
apply during their studies at university. And maybe some of them will actually apply, of course, I think all of them will at work, writing emails and writing memos,
Yeah.
things like that. But maybe some of them will go into communications, or maybe they'll write policy. And you really need to know your audience and how you're going to convey that information.
Mm,
And it starts at this age, it starts in middle
it
school.
does. Yes, and that's something that I think parents watching know that the middle school courses are really the foundation for all communication through middle school, high school, college, university, positions, jobs, professional life. This is where the foundation is so important to give success, to give a feeling of accomplishment, to get away all the fears for writing,
Yes,
right? Things that may hold the student back and give them that feeling of hesitation. We want to just get rid of all that so students feel comfortable with their writing. And that's exactly what these courses do, starting with punctuation and grammar and the
yes,
common mistakes that everybody make with commas and, getting those basic questions out of the way. And then starting with, as you said, the 7-8 courses with actual composition, creating not just strong sentences, great paragraphs, but now we're putting paragraphs together and creating more of an academic approach, right? That gives an
yes,
introduction and the insides of what you write, the body, and then a conclusion and what is the purpose and what is my so what, going off
yes.
after I've read, what do I do with this? I love that these courses that you're teaching really lay the foundation for everything in a student's life and really in people's lives with communication.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing the stories of those students and
Mm,
just kind of drawing that out of them. I mean, that's the etymology of the word education. It actually means to be
yeah,
drawn out of. And there's
right.
just something inside of each one of us. There's a story that God has written inside of each one of us. And
Mm,
we are so thankful, I think, to be able to express that inside of writing.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as we're talking, I'm hearing great things about who you are, where you've been, your love. I can feel your love of writing as you speak. I bet there are other passions that you have that maybe someone reading your bio or reading the website about you or going into to sign up for your class and there's a little blurb about you. I bet there are things that people don't know that would be fun to know about you. Go ahead and share those.
Well, I'm pretty sure maybe there is already an assumption, so I can go ahead and validate that. So I am bilingual in French. I'm officially bilingual, even recognized by the U.S. State Department.
Nice.
After 10
Yeah.
years being here, and I had done my studies at a French university as well, it's a part of what I do. And so that's what I did not mention earlier. It's that going in with French companies, they're very much at ease because they can converse with me in French. And then
Yes.
I can provide all the materials in English, and they don't have to worry about having other agencies go over it.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful application. So I would encourage students at this age. I know some of you are starting to do foreign language. That's when I first started doing foreign language when I
Mm.
was in middle school. I chose, I think, Spanish at the time, and I had never done French. I learned French as an adult.
Ah,
But
very
it's
nice.
really about just applying yourself. And I learned completely on my own, just via the
Did
internet. I never took
you?
courses. Yeah. So this was just YouTube videos and books.
There you go.
And I got to a good enough level to study at a French university, but now I've been here long enough to talk French every day, and that's helped. And I'll just
Yeah.
tie that to the last thing I was saying when I mentioned the etymology of the word education. So I'm a nerd about really composition rhetoric, but then also the etymology of words, because what I think is very important in writing is finding the right word to convey and express what you
Mm.
want to say. And we are so blessed in the English language. I know a lot of people sort of attack English because they don't think that it's well rooted because it has so many different influences, but we're very blessed to have so many words that we can find exactly the word that's best. And so I really enjoy studying Latin as well. I attend both maths inside of French and Latin, and
Nice.
there are a few English masses here, but a little bit harder to find. But that's just a little bit more about me that's associated with what's on the bio that is not explicitly stated.
Yeah, and I love that you're a word nerd. Well, many of us are here. And I think for parents watching, the 6-7 course in particular really focuses on words, choosing the right word, why we choose it, how to wield our words in really awesome ways, crafty ways that get
Yes,
people interested in what we have to say. So I love that that's one of your loves. It just comes right
it
into
really
here.
is.
Yeah, awesome. Well, people are watching, parents are watching, students are watching, and they're interested in maybe signing up for your middle school courses. How would they reach out to you? What is the best way for them to reach you?
Right. So I created an email just to contact me that's specific to Homeschool Connections. So it's just my first initial, last name, .hsc. So that's mmanns, MMANNS .hsc at gmail.com. That's probably the best way to connect with me, particularly associated with doing the work with Aquinas Writing. And I'm looking forward to it. I know that there are some other persons who are trying to kind of get my information out there. I heard that there was even a forum where different parents were asking about me. So
Yes,
there's a gentleman who works for HSC called Phil Campbell, and Phil said, "Well, I know him. I've known him for 10 years, and I'll sort of kind of put his name out there and let people know that he's a good guy." So
yes, absolutely. Yes, we have a forum for students here, and they ask all kinds of questions, and parents too, but mostly it's the students saying, what is this class? Who is this person? And so they have nice conversations. Well, I know that people watching today can feel from you a very calm, clear way of communicating and presenting. So, parents, students, if that is something you resonate with, something in the classroom you're seeking to have this classroom that's easy to understand, calm presentation, I think Myron is your person. Mr. Manns is the person to sign up for it. So thank you, Myron, for joining me
thank you,
today.
Aaron.
And I really encourage everyone watching to check out Myron's middle school courses in the Aquinas Writing Advantage program. We'll see you all
Thanks so
later.
much. Bye.